Hello everyone and welcome to another game. This is actually game 3 in this series. Once again, I apologize. The website that I pulled these replays from is missing game 1. So game 2, or game 1 was really game 2, and this being the second game is really game 3. I'll try to label it so that you do know what games are and you don't get confused. But then again, there's some of you out there who, don't really listen to the beginning of the matchups and then just wait for the macro and see what's going to happen. Anyways, getting to the game, we see Nerchio spawning as the blue Terran player on the bottom right hand side of the map. Meanwhile, Nerchio spawning on the left side of the map here at the 7 or 8 o'clock position as the red Zerg. Zerg versus Terran once more, and we'll see what's going to go down in this matchup. Red versus blue, and here on Tal'Darim Altar. Now, Tal'Darim Altar, one of those maps where how you spawn really has a very large effect on how the game plays out. Unfortunately for Nerchio, Nerchio has spawned clockwise from his opponent, meaning that his third base is not going to be all that well protected. And meanwhile, you're going to see that Kaz is going to be able to take his third and perhaps even his fourth base while expanding away if he chooses, and to make sure that Zerglings are not able to put in that much pressure. Drone is now making its way out as we are going into a very, very early 14 hatch. So a very early 14 hatch here on Tal'Darim Altar at the natural expansion, and we'll see what comes of this. We are getting a command center here by Kaz. Kaz most likely will, Barracks, he most likely will be going into a command center. Oh, I take it back. He does have a refinery up, so he is going a little bit more of a tech play this time around. He should be upgrading to an orbital command, and now training up a marine and perhaps building up a supply depot as well. Or is he just going to scout out with this SCV? It looks like it will in fact be a scout. Now SCV back home is going to finish off this wall in here, and as we are going to have one marine now make its way out. Will Kaz spot that marine? I don't believe so. Meanwhile, Nerchio is actually going to spot it, and does Kaz spot back? Oh, Nerchio revealing himself to his opponent, or ever so barely, but it doesn't really matter as the SCV does come in to find the hatchery being positioned over here at the natural expansion. Drones being transferred over here now, and it really looks like Nerchio really wants to get a really strong economic opening. Meanwhile, we are seeing a reactor Hellion opening coming in from Kaz, and curiously enough, he is still harvesting gas. So he is still harvesting gas at this time. And at this stage in the game, double Hellions with Marines and SCVs may be very, very effective. The Hellions dealing the majority of that damage, dealing 14 damage per wave. As long as the Hellions attack, I believe it's 3 Zerglings, then it is in fact worth it for those Hellions to attack. As the Zerglings now going to be making their way out. We currently have 2 Marines though, and only 2 Marines. That is going to be a bit of an issue, as the Hellions are going to be quite delayed if those Zerglings do make their way in. And yes, they are making their way in. This command center, or this SCV, looks like it will get picked apart. There it goes. One Zergling now down. SCV is now coming in to join in on the fight. This one SCV has taken a bit of damage. Now going to start to build this over here as the Marines giving in a little bit of cover. Is another SCV going to get taken down? Yes. So 2 SCVs for 4 Zerglings. That's something that Zerg players will do every game if they can. And now the Harvester advantage 20-26. And with more drones on the way, it is definitely going to be strong for Nerchio. Nerchio now making the move out. We are getting into that Roach Warren. The Roach Warren is rather late, as the Hellion's going to perhaps just simply run by and get some damage onto those drones. Oh, the drones are lining up. There goes one drone. Another drone may get torched. Oh, there's a group right over there. That's going to get clustered together, and there goes another drone there. Another drone gets taken out. And one more drone. Yes, one more drone. How many more drones can you kill? And it looks like it is going to be another trade. So 2 Hellions for 4 drones. Meanwhile, 4 Zerglings for 2 SCVs. So both players are just doing economic trades. But oh, Kaz in trouble this time around. really not getting any damage at all. Just a little bit of superficial damage on a drone. A damaged drone mines just as well as an undamaged drone. There we go. As Kaz now transfers in some SCVs over, Hellions once again kind of try to make their position known and try to take a little bit of that map control. Those Zerglings backing off as Nerchio needs to figure out what his long-term strategy is. We are now going into Banshees. Banshees being added, an Overlord now going to get shot down as well, and Nerchio is in trouble, really. Now going to be supply locked at 52 over 54, and if this one Viking hunts down any more Overlords, that's going to just put Nerchio even further and further behind. The third base is being established over here at the 9 o'clock position. It is rather far away for both Nerchio and Kaz. Not the prime location, but there's not much he could really do about it at this stage in the game. There is going to be a couple Overlords in position. The Vikings now getting some easy damage onto that Overlord there, trying to stay out of range. That Overlord taking a lot of damage. And now 2 more shots will do it. 1 more shot. There it goes. 1 Overlord down. Another Overlord may get taken down as well. But you can see a large swarm of Roaches are now pushing in. There are Hellions. There are Marines in position here. The Roaches going straight after those units. And now SCV's coming over to repair. Is it going to be able to repair in time? No, it does not look like it. The Banshee getting in a lot of kills. But it really needs to focus down these Roaches. Roaches are getting taken down. Meanwhile, the Viking has already gotten 3 kills. More and more Zerglings are still coming in. Marines fighting alongside those SCVs, trying to stay alive. And now Nerchio with a very devastating counterattack, dealing a fair amount of damage here as a second Banshee now joins the squadron in the air. Zerglings getting toasted by those backlash rockets. And I believe the 2 Banshees are going to try to fight off and get some economic damage, but there are already a couple Overlords, or sorry, a couple Queens in position as another, the Viking could take down this Overlord here. Is the Kaz gonna spot it? No, he does not. And Nerchio, being very smart, decides to pull back with those units. Banshee's getting some kick kills. They're taking down 2 Zerglings, as now the front door is completely wide open, ripe for the picking once more. Marines now making their way in. Banshees getting in decent damage this time around. And there you go. Harvester count 49 compared to 29. Nerchio in a great position as he trains in 8 additional drones. SCV back at home now being repaired. Vikings DPS is slightly less in ground mode than in air mode, if you did not already know that, as the Banshees are now going to perhaps catch an expansion unguarded. The Spore Crawler now trying to be built. 1 Spore Crawler already up, a Queen already in position, and that is going to be too much, as this Spore Crawler only takes 6 seconds to root 1 drone down, 2 drones down, 3 drones down, 4, 5, 6. Beautiful flying by those Banshee pilots as they once again escape. 50 compared to 34, 7 more drones now still being added, as Kaz is unable to really produce an army, while Nerchio is able to continually drone more and more. Marines attempting to take down these rocks over here. Orbital command already up and running. Could train in even more SCVs, as these rocks will be taken down rather quickly. The orbital command should already be lifting off. Not quite sure why it hasn't taken off yet, as that would definitely even up the playing field in terms of bases for Terran. Now, still no macro hatch to speak of. We are getting into 1-1 upgrades, including the pathogen glands for the infestors, and I'm curious as to whether or not infestors will effectively be used in this matchup. Infestors, the real counter against mass Marines, and alongside Banelings. You can see that the Banshee pilots are getting some necessary repair work done back at home, as this Overlord up to 5 kills already. And now we're going to see an orbital command finally land and start dropping mules. SCVs need to be transferred over sometime soon. The mineral patches over here are pretty saturated already, as we're now going to see an engagement. Marines are not upgraded at all. Roaches and Zerglings at least will have 1 armor in just a few seconds, as the Vikings look to deal damage here. The siege tanks are going to start sieging, and this is going to be very difficult, as the infestors get off a nice fungal growth. Marines unable to support against the roaches. Devastating damage. All the siege tanks except for one get taken down. And now, what can be done? The Banshees need to focus down those roaches, or perhaps the Infestors. Infestors getting taken down. The last one single siege tank has been destroyed. Zerglings now coming over. Viking now going after more units once more, as the Banshee now being forced to pull away. Drones still falling, as we now see some rather large moving coming out from Nerchio. Nerchio moving out with a large group of units. You can see the Spore Crawler once again pushing back, or rooting himself back into the ground. And now we're going to see the Roaches perhaps try to run into this position here. Kaz needs the siege. He is not in siege mode. That is no good. One siege tank in siege mode. The Roaches able to finish off one of those units there. As you can now see the Roaches scurrying towards this third base, dealing a lot of damage. The Marines and the Marines without any medevac support really starting to fall, as the Roaches now swarming in to focus down SCVs. 3 Marines still back over here. These Banshees both low on hit points, looking to perhaps repair themselves and get back into this game. Roaches are burrowing, and 2 Roaches are on the run. 1 Roach on the run, and there it goes. But Nerchio should be able to perhaps get up 3 Roaches and then just get them in a position, as the Zerglings over here finally do get cleaned up. The Roaches are now back up to full hit points. They do have 1 base armor, taking down units. There goes an SCV. There goes a Mule. And more units, more damage being dealt. A missile turret also being added as well, as the Roaches gonna burrow. Is he gonna use a scanner sweep? Yes, he is. Roach is unable to move and quickly get taken down. Zerglings now trying to push back in on the front door alongside those Infestors. There's a fungal growth. Is another fungal growth gonna come in? Yes, and look at all of those Marines. 20 kills on an Infestor. That Infestor definitely ate its Wheaties and able to just kill that many Marines. Maybe that's where Infestors get those infested Marines from. He kills them and then he stores them inside his energy sacks. Anyways, Roaches and Infestors now making their way out. This is a lot of Roaches. 7 Roaches in this army. And that means a lot of fungal growth still could be coming in. Oh, but there is a fungal growth, and there is some damage there. Another Marine getting taken down, and more Marines just falling apart. The fungal growth after a stim without combat shield. A whole bunch of dead Marines there, as the Infestors getting into the 20 kill range. Marines look like they are ready for a push. There is 12 of them, not the full 16. Marines and Queens now trying to run away. Or Marines running in. Queen gonna fall, as the drones really have nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. More drones getting taken down. And there is the quick burrow, as the Marines may not know to scanner sweep unless they were actually watching this engagement, because it just looks like to him that all of those units were taken out. Oh, Hatchery down to 13, 14 hit points. Marine dropping, getting the final kill, and then once again being picked back up, but do get taken out in the process. Not quite sure who won out in that engagement, but the Hatchery and the lost mining time is going to definitely affect Nerchio more. 60 drones, 65 SCVs, and both players now playing a really strong, solid macro game. Kaz, at some point, he does need to figure out how to take this base. He is going to be building off another command center to the north. Zerglings quickly checking out that expansion, knowing that nothing's there. And now it is going to be Zerglings, Roaches, and Infestors as we go into Hive Tech. Hive Tech most likely will be Ultralisk, as I do not see a Spire yet. No Spire means no Greater Spire. And no Greater Spire means no Broodlords. So Ultralisk over Broodlords here on Tal'Darim Altar. It may work out, as Kaz does not have any weapons upgrade on his siege tanks as of yet. Soon will, though, as Vikings, siege tanks, Marines, no Marauders against this Infestor Zergling Roach army. A medevac drop, looking to perhaps drop in the backside here. He does know that there's a hatchery here. Not very much going on. The Marines are going to be falling from the sky, landing, and now finally dealing some damage. Is it spotted? I'm not quite sure. Yes, it is finally spotted. Now the Marines coming in, focusing down one drone. A couple more drones have been taken down, and now attempting to take down this hatchery. The hatchery already down to 1,000 hit points. That base 1 armor not helping it nearly as much as you would think at this point, as the drones are now falling. So drones and Zerglings now trying to engage. The roaches, the drones are now burrowed. 3 more Marines. Are they going to be able to finish it off? Yes, able to finish it off just in time as Nerchio loses another expansion to some very gung-ho Marines. Medevac is retreating here. We are seeing a rather large group of units outside. Kaz is sitting on a slight food advantage, and meanwhile is also, but no, not also, falling behind just a little bit in terms of worker count and who's going to be able to replenish their army more quickly. Kaz does have a larger mineral count right now, so even if he does lose, say, 20 Marines, he would be able to replace them rather quickly as the Zerglings, Roaches, Infestors, get absolutely cleaned up by the 12 Siege Tanks. Siege Tanks just laying waste there as Infestors now getting in massive fungal growth. Another fungal growth. One more fungal growth, and that's a lot of dead Marines. There you go. And Nerchio making sure that that 4th base never sees the light of day. Viking is back over here. Marines are going to engage. There's one fungal growth. Are we going to get another fungal growth is a question. No, it looks like all the units are finally trying to back off. And now Zerglings going after the the command center. The command center now down to 600 hit points. Where are those units going to go? Another fungal growth could be coming in. There you go. There's some infested Terrans. But I believe that's going to be simply too much. Too late. Too little too late. As the Infestors could perhaps burrow and then be saved to at least try and force a counter or another sweep as the Zerglings now swarm in. Finish off many of these siege tanks. Siege tanks outside of siege mode. Still dealing a lot of damage against those Roaches and even those Zerglings. Now in comes a very large attack. Kaz looking in very, very good shape so far. All of these siege tanks, 14 of them, look to just absolutely destroy this base. Down over here, only 2 queens. Even trying to go in for a flank, but knowing that the DPS on these units are simply way too high. Siege tanks now starting the siege. Gonna finish off these queens, and I believe that will be it. As Nerchio now loses another base here. He cannot really run off of this many bases when he's this far spread apart. The reinforcements will be trickling in way too slowly, especially with the medevacs still healing many of these units. Zerglings now getting finished off over here. Siege tanks are in retreat. It looks as though this Zerg cocoon will get destroyed, as now in comes a drop. There's the Marines. A fungal growth most likely incoming. There's the fungal growth. Where's another fungal growth? There it is. All we need now is some infested Terrans to make sure that that gets taken down, as Zerglings are now just hitting the natural expansion once more, destroying everything in its path, and Kaz may not have been expecting this at all. Now, siege tanks continuing to roll out. Overlords just providing sight up onto that high ground. There's a lot of siege tanks in this group, as we now see Nerchio has reestablished this natural expansion and this 3rd expansion at the 12 o'clock location, or that 3rd base location at the 12. Mass infested Terrans will be coming out, and the mass infested Terrans may actually do the job this time. They have a decent number, 10 infested Terrans. There they go. Siege tanks all destroyed, and Nerchio has plucked victory away from Kaz right now, as Nerchio doing a great job staying in this game, and now with a very, very strong economic lead, may be able to ride the economic advantage into the late game with a superior number of units. Zerglings swarming in once more. There's the fungal growth, getting in a lot of damage. Another fungal growth coming in. More Marines going to get destroyed. One more fungal growth would be all it would take to finish off all of these Marines here. It looks like Zerglings are starting to swarm in, unable to really do all too much, as the Viking is now up on the high ground. More creep tumors being laid down. And Nerchio saying this game is just wrong, LOL. Win after losing all your SCVs, and this may be a premature, definitely premature GG. Take a look at the army sizes. There is a much larger army coming in from Kaz, but Nerchio not too bad of a shape. He could easily perhaps mass up more units and then come back into this. I know he is definitely behind There's hardly any SCVs here, barely any SCVs here, but what Kaz just doing a great job continuing to call down mules, and that's what really kept him in this game. Taking a look at the number of mules, 8 mules for over a 3,000 mineral economy. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.